Hey guys, it's Saturday, and that means it's time for me to delve into an episode of a superhero animated series. Today, I am here to talk about the episode of Batman the Animated Series titled Eternal Youth. And for those of you who are keeping up with the DVD box sets along with me, this marks our first episode into the second box set. Doesn't seem like it's been that long since I began talking about this series, and already I'm 1/4 of the way through it. Time flies when you're watching Batman, I guess. This episode is a pretty simple one, actually. Poison Ivy has set up a fake spa resort for executives who are stressed by their jobs. She sends out invitations for people to spend a weekend at the spa for free, and then she feeds them chemicals which will turn them into humanoid trees. She does this specifically to the corporate people who she believes are responsible for destroying the environment. Bruce Wayne gets an invite, and he doesn't want to go, but he allows/sends Alfred on his way with his gal pal Maggie Page. When Alfred starts acting sick, along with another missing executive who had the same tape that was delivered to Bruce's house, Batman figures out what's going on and puts an end to Poison Ivy's evil schemes once again. So I don't have a whole lot to say about this episode, but then again, every time I say that, I end up talking for just as long as I usually do with these reviews. I think it's really weird and stupid that Poison Ivy's evil scheme is ultimately to turn rich people into trees. The episode throws around some technobabble about where this special serum came from, but I don't understand how it comes from a tree, then it turns humans into trees, but if you spill it on the plain old dirt, it grows a huge skyscraper-sized tree out of nothing. This may seem like nitpicking, but I really don't think that it is. A month or so ago, I read some really informative pages from the series Bible of this series, and watching this episode reminded me of something really smart that was said in the series Bible. They mentioned that whatever happens in the third act of an episode needs to be set up in Act 1 and 2. And on the one hand, in the opening scene of this episode, we see Poison Ivy spray a woman with this chemical and she freezes up right there. So that's the introduction of this frankly ridiculous notion that we see in the final third of this episode. But I almost feel like that was put in place after the idea of human trees was thrown around in the writer's room when they were coming up with this episode. If you split this episode up into 3 parts, the first 2 parts are pretty good. You've got the introduction of our villain relatively early in the story, so no wasting time there. They pretty effortlessly set up the reason why Poison Ivy is after Bruce Wayne, and that doesn't feel forced at all. The stuff where Alfred doesn't want to go to the spa and has to go with his girlfriend, that's all very funny. It's only in the last 8 minutes or so of this episode that things really take a turn for the whole what the heck angle. Like I said, nothing is really explained about this enzyme that seemingly can do anything in the world. I have a feeling that this is going to be a symptom of episodes that utilize characters we've already been introduced to. It's okay for Scarecrow to just use his fear toxin in a normal way that affects Batman when we are first introduced to the Scarecrow. But in Scarecrow's second appearance, he can't be doing the exact same thing. So the episode uses his fear as a weapon thing in a new way, where he uses it on sports players. And then in the third Scarecrow appearance, we once again see him using his shtick of fear as a weapon in another different way. I think the only exception to this rule would be the Joker. He's had multiple appearances in the series so far, and I don't feel like they've had to try to come up with a new twist on the Joker every time they use him as a character. But with Scarecrow, and now it seems Poison Ivy, it's almost like they don't have confidence in the way that they set up the character, so they have to almost introduce the character all over again every time they use that character. And in some cases, that may not be a bad thing. For example, the next episode of this series is Perchance to Dream, which, spoiler, that episode uses the Mad Hatter in a way that he was not used in his first appearance, and it's a fantastic episode. So this idea that when reusing a character the series feels the need to reintroduce them with a new shtick, that's not always going to be a bad thing, but I do think it is in this case. I don't want to pretend like I know better than the people of this series how to write a standalone 22-minute superhero adventure, But if they didn't want to do the thing where Ivy is getting revenge on one person who wronged Mother Nature like in her first appearance, then surely there is something they could have done before resorting to human trees, right? She uses mind control to try and have people assassinate Bruce Wayne. Wayne doesn't know who will try to kill him or when, and with her control over plants, anyone at any time could come under her control. That's something that could have been an amazing basis for an episode, I think. And let me reiterate, this entire episode is not bad. I think the Poison Ivy running a spa thing, it's not terrible. It's just how this whole episode ends that makes me not care for this episode nearly as much as I was in the first 2/3 of the episode. Overall, I don't think that I had much to say about this episode, but rather I had things to say about the series and how it handles recurring villains. I'm kinda shocked I didn't catch on to this pattern earlier, but with the exception of the Joker, we didn't really get many recurring villains at all in the entire first box set. Just Scarecrow, I think. As I continue watching this series, I'll keep an eye on characters who are showing up for the second and third time and just see how the series handles them. In the meantime, that's about all I have to say about this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, come back next week where I will be talking about an episode of the Legion of Superheroes cartoon. And the week after that, I'll be talking about another episode of Batman the Animated Series. And throughout the week, I'll have all kinds of other videos up on this channel, so be sure to go check them out as well. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.